Hi everyone, Tyler Mannion here, FBC and Ifbb Pro League Vice President. Today this is going to be a video on the criteria for the bikini division. We're going to go over things we want to see, things we do not want to see, and then review some competitors to give you guys some examples of how they fit the criteria. First, we're going to go over what we want to see in bikini. What we want to see in bikini competitors is slight roundness and cap to the delts, a nice tight and flat core, full round glutes with slight separation between the glutes and the hamstrings, a nice hourglass silhouette, condition that displays muscle fullness, overall presentation that exudes health and femininity, as well as the correct posing for the division. Now I'll go over what we don't want to see in bikini competitors. We don't want to see overly capped, big, dense, or striated shoulders. We don't want to see arms that are too muscular or thick. We don't want to see an etched in, overly developed six-pack that makes the waist look thicker. We don't want to see squared off, dense glutes. Overall, we don't want to see too much muscle density or vascularity. Now, where we've been seeing muscle density normally happens, like we just covered, in the upper body, whether it's the shoulders or the arms, but we're also seeing it in some girls' legs, specifically in their quads. Whenever you start to become too dense, you start to look like mini wellness. We've also sometimes been seeing girls trying to display quad sweep in their back pose. As you're about to see when we review the top competitors, we are not seeing much quad sweep at all. These girls are definitely not pushing their legs or quads to the side to show quad sweep in their back pose. We don't want to see deep separation, graininess, or an overall hardness looking to your physique. Whenever you are walking on stage or doing your bikini walk to the front, you should not be seeing splits in the quads. There should not be separation in the quads, especially deep separation. We don't want the hamstrings really etched in from the back. There can be a slight hamstring pop because of a small amount of development to the hamstrings in a back pose, but we don't want to see the hamstrings etched in, looking deep, looking striated. We don't want them connecting all the way up to your tie-ins and to your glutes. Overall, we want to see a very balanced physique in bikini. Everything should match and be proportional top to bottom. We also do not want to see the hourglass shape turn into an X frame. This normally happens when girls flare their lat in their front pose, like figure competitors flare their lat in their side poses. That turns an hourglass into more of an X frame. This is something we don't want to see in bikini. You should have the nice hourglass shape to your physique naturally with your arm at rest in the front pose. Now I will move into reviewing and showing you the top 4 bikini physiques based on their results from the last 2 years. When I describe their physiques, you will notice me mentioning the same things a lot because all 4 of these girls really hit the criteria that we're looking for in their own ways with their physique, because people need to take into account that every physique is going to look a little bit different, but you can still hit the points of criteria for your physique. So first we're going to start off with our reigning Miss Bikini Olympia, Maureen Blanquisco. Maureen doesn't need to change much to her physique. She has nice slightly capped shoulders that aren't too big or dense. She has a nice hourglass shape to her physique with a nice tight and small waist. She also has full round glutes that stay full while she is doing the bikini walk. Now, we're looking at pictures of Maureen from the Arnold this year where she took second. She was about 1% off conditioning wise at this show compared to what she was at the Olympia. This is what made the difference between first and second at this show. She just needs to bring the conditioning that she brought to the Olympia every time. It's very hard to keep your physique basically the same and show up with the proper condition. This is what makes bikini so tough, but that is what she needs to do going forward. And just to add on, it's always good for this category to miss conditioning slightly the way Maureen did, which was a touch too soft, rather than going too hard. We're going to lean towards picking the people that show muscle fullness and might be a touch soft in person than someone that's going to start getting etched in and separated and too hard. just so everybody can understand that. Next, we'll move into Lauralee. So Lauralee brought a great package to the Arnold, obviously, as she won the show. She brings a nice hourglass physique with good upper body to lower body balance, with full round glutes and the proper conditioning to her physique. Her conditioning was 100% right on what we want to see in bikini. And as you can see through these pictures, you don't really see hardness anywhere. So Lauralee's feedback is her shoulders can come down slightly in size, back in line with her 2022 Pittsburgh Pro look, which in my opinion was her best ever look that she's brought to stage. Other than that, she needs to maintain her overall balance. For her, that's sometimes tough. She needs to make sure her glutes stay the same size so they stay in balance with the rest of her physique, and overall nail this conditioning every single time she gets on stage. Next up, we have Jen Dory, and we're using her pictures from the 2022 Olympia, where she took second. Jen has an extremely balanced physique, which is great for bikini, again with nice full round glutes and a nice tight core. Things that Jen can work on, especially from this Olympia that you're seeing, is she was just slightly too conditioned from the back when it comes to her hamstrings, almost tying up into her tie-ins in her glutes. She needs to find a level of conditioning that is between where she won in 2021 and this last year. At this Olympia, Jen also lost a little bit of her glute fullness when she was doing the bikini walk to the back. This is normally one of her strengths, so once again, she needs to get that glute fullness back going forward for when she does the bikini walk. And lastly, we'll move on to Ashley Kaltwasser, who again has a nice hourglass shape to her physique. Her shoulders are nice and full, but not too big or dense. And she has nice full round glutes that have great pop to them whenever she turns around to the back and also does her bikini walk. This is one of her biggest strengths. Now, the things that Ashley can work on is she sometimes over vacuums in her front pose. She does not need to do that. It kind of throws off the look a little bit. Most of the times girls do not need to have big vacuums in their front pose. She also sometimes is a little fidgety when it comes to posing. That's something she always works on, is her posing and presentation. And for this Olympia look, she showed up a touch, just a touch on the lean side. So for her, it's trying to find a balance where at the Pittsburgh Pro this past year in her front pose, I think it is the best she brought in terms of fullness. So it's getting the fullness look that she had from the front pose in Pittsburgh, but still keeping the pop to her glutes that she had here at the Olympia. In conclusion, I hope this video clears up any questions that people had regarding the criteria in bikini and answers what we are looking for very closely going forward. I think the 4 examples of these women and their physiques, either as an amateur or a pro or a coach, that you can look towards to build your own physique to fit the criteria the best way possible.